You know, there's a story of two men that were chopping wood to heat their homes for the winter, and they both worked all day, but one man took a break every few hours, and the other man worked without a break, except for eating his lunch. And at the end of the day, the wood chopper who had taken his breaks had chopped more wood than the man who didn't take any breaks. And so the man asked his chopping partner how he could chop more wood when he had worked hard all day long and he had taken a break every few hours. The man's reply was, well, while you were continuing to chop wood, I was sharpening my axe. You know, it's a story that you might have heard before, but, you know, I think it proves the point that we all need to take time to sharpen our skills and to see that habit pays huge dividends. You know, sometimes we're so busy doing things that we actually create more workforce in the end. And this podcast is all about what I call setting the expectations that a grower is going to have with you for this upcoming year. You know, we can choose to do a lot of things for their farming operation, and at the end of the day, they may not notice. Or we can ask them specifically what they want and desire and do those things. And what we've done there is that we often then we hit it just perfectly in terms of the promise and the delivery of that promise. The other thing that most people do is that we never ask what our grower wants, and the grower actually wants us to do something, and so we might have overpromised and underdelivered. This program is going to give you two skills. It's going to give you some skills on some of the questions that you can ask a grower right now before planting really begins to hit at its maximum level. And then the second thing I'm going to share with you is how to set up a successful side-by-side, whether that be with a new product on corn or soybeans, or it might be a side-by-side that you have with chemistry or crop nutrition products. Okay? So get a piece of paper out, get a pencil ready, and you can certainly re-listen to this as many times as you want so that these words become just almost second nature to you. So let me just give you 30 years of experience of really starting the spring with a grower. And I'm going to give you some of what I would call the best questions I've ever asked farmers that have really led to great relationships and the ability to serve them. So you ready? So here's our first question. As we near spring, I'm just curious, what specific services will you be expecting from me and our company? So as we near spring, as we get this thing launched, I'm just curious, what specific services will you be expecting from me and our company? Now, what you're going to find most often is the farmer is going to look back at you and say, well, I don't know. I mean, I just give you good service. And what I want you to do there is, what specifically do you want? Now, that buffet list, there's that buffet list that lists all those very specific items that you can provide a grower. Proactive scouting, all right? We can do customized tissue sampling. Remember that buffet list? I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to give them a pencil and say, I'd like you to look at this list, and I'd like you to check 2 or 3 things that you want to make sure that would be helpful that I provide you in your operation. Okay? So we're going to ask the question. We're going to have our buffet list ready to go. Now, you remember those cycle statements? Yeah, cycle statements are really convenient because they, in a nice professional way, in a friendly way, ask the farmer, the producer, really to measure what you're doing or what you could do versus maybe what they're getting from somewhere else. So if I'm asking this question of someone where I know they're doing business with a competitor, I might just say, I'm just curious, have the other people that you've worked with, have they asked you these questions in terms of what you specifically want? You don't need to say any more. You don't need to do any more than just listen and watch and observe in terms of what that farmer is going to tell you. They're likely going to say, well, no, they haven't. And you get to then respond, well, you're important to me. I want to make sure that I'm doing my part and we're doing our part in our organization to help you reach your desired goals. You would agree with that, right? Yeah, these are absolutely really, really, really important questions. Now, one of the things that you may want to ask is how you've done in the past. You might ask, how would you rate the level of service that I and our company have provided you in the past on a 1 to 10 scale? It's amazing what you can learn from a grower in regards to what you've done in the past. You want to really learn what you've done in the past that they find valuable? Ask this question. I'm just curious, which of the service offerings or the specific things that I've been able to do for you in the past do you find the most valuable? So this is a valuable question. All the things that I do, what do you find the most valuable? Think about how that would help you. Think about how that would help you. Here's another one. How frequently would you like me to look at your fields this year? I mean, a lot of people say, well, I'll scout your fields. How frequently would you like me in your fields? And how would you like me to check in with you? What do you mean by that, David? Well, would you like me to would you like me to send you a text? Is it a phone call? Is it a scouting text that I can send you? How would you like for us to communicate? What's the best way for us to communicate? So these are questions that hopefully you can see that really provide value in regards to you. Now, I want you to think of a new customer that you recently have brought on. It might be somebody that you sold seed for the first time. Maybe somebody that you sold crop nutrition or crop protection products or precision services. They're new. You got their name in mind? Now I want you to listen. I want you to listen to these questions. I'm going to say it in this manner. The last time you started working with another company or another rep like me, I'm just curious, how many on-farm visits did they make during the year? And what specifically did they do that helped you to be more comfortable in moving forward with them in a larger way next year? Did you hear that? What have I just done with that question? I've just asked them based on their past experience of working with someone else. How many on-farm visits did they make? And what did they do? Now, what do you think you're going to hear? You're going to hear a couple things. Well, they weren't here. They never made it. They sold me the stuff, and I never saw them again. You might hear that. What does that tell you? Or you might hear something along this line. Well, they're usually, 3, 4, 5 times a year. Well, you better be on their farm more than 1, 2, or 3 times, wouldn't you agree? And then what specifically did they do? So I'm going to read this question again. The last time you started with an organization or a rep like me on your farm, I'm just curious, how many on-farm visits did they make? And what specifically did they do that helped you be more comfortable move ahead with them in a larger way? You have just asked for more of their business already, haven't you? Notice how I phrase those words. Is this helpful? Are these questions great questions for you to ask? We're sharpening your axe. We're sharpening your axe. Rather than just working with your head chopped off, so to speak, we're really beginning to make a difference. Let me give you one more question before we move into the side-by-sides. Would you like to grow market share, grow sales with a customer? Your heads are nodding up and down, aren't they? Let's ask them now. I believe later this year it might be beneficial for us to really sit down and really look at other areas of your farm and how we can help you on the precision side, or on the crop protection side, or on the seed side, or the crop nutrition side. You get to put anything you want in there. You're okay? So I believe it's going to be mutually beneficial for us to help you out. List those specific areas. And this year is going to give you an opportunity to learn more about the level of service that we're providing you, the attention to detail that I know that you want. You're going to be able to learn about my technical expertise, and if you have a problem, would you reach out to me? Now, after you've had that opportunity, that chance to work with me and see us work on your farm, could we then discuss what it might take to help you in other areas of your farm? Think about how many times that we only have one segment of business with the grower. We never talk about anything else. These are the times to begin to cement that, to get that in that farmer's minds. Now, I've been letting you really think about how I'm going to help you with setting side-by-sides up, and we're going to move into that towards the end of our program right now. And when you think about putting a side-by-side together, a lot of us, we drop our seed off or the product, and we hope all summer, we pray all summer that it's going to yield more. We cross our fingers and hope that everything's going to yield more so that farmer will notice in the grain bin on the yield monitor that, yep, our product worked, he's going to order more. Well, what percent of the time does that happen? The best seed products in the world have a win percentage between 65 and 72%, which means they quote-unquote lose 30 to 35% of the time. Folks, there's more. There's more than the side-by-side than just the product. How about the side-by-side of you, your service, your expertise, your knowledge, your follow-up? So here's the question that you have to ask right now. Mr. or Mrs. Farmer, I'm just curious. How will you define a successful trial on your farm with these two seed products? How will you define a successful trial of this crop nutrition product versus the untreated? Now, what do you think you're going to hear from a farmer? They're going to say the Y word, the yield word, aren't they? And you get to say, I understand, but besides yield, what else are you going to be looking for? If you know your product and you know your products have great emergence, you might want to say, how should we look at emergence this year? How will emergence help us make a decision on where to plant this product first on your farm next year? We have to ask how they're going to define a successful trial beyond yield. All the other performance factors, all the other characteristics, and you. They're also comparing you, wouldn't you agree? Now the next question. Assuming it's successful, then what should we decide to do? How many farmers sometimes will love to take your product, will love to put their product on the farm, but had no intention ever to buy any product from you? I know that never happens, and I'm laughing out loud. We have to ask the question, assuming it's successful, and assuming I do the things that you wanted to see, and assuming the product performs and exceeds those expectations that we just defined earlier, what should we decide to do then? It's about making a difference right now, sharpening your axe right now to make a difference. Oh, it's fun to be on the tailgate with you. It's fun to be on the tailgate with you, talk about life, talk about experiences, talking about sharpening your axe. I hope we helped you sharpen your axe. Putting together successful side-by-sides, setting the expectations, and delivering more than what we said. We'll see you next time on the tailgate.